journalist here covering this right here at the moment. I'm right on the coast of Ashdod. That's the city of Ashdod behind me, and there's the Mediterranean. You can see behind me the pieces of the dock or the pier that floated away from Gaza, broke loose in stormy seas and made their way floating over here and then beached themselves right here on the beach outside of Ashdod. Now, this piece back here is just a small piece of the portion that broke away. It was they were unable to refloat it. The military engineers first tried to pull it back to sea, and when that was unsuccessful, they decided to take this thing apart and put it on flatbeds and then drive it back to the port where the Gaza Pier is being repaired. So right here behind me, you see that there are several pieces of this dock, and they are being right now connected to these gigantic excavators. They are then lifting them onto flatbed trucks right over there, and they will drive them back to where the pier is being repaired. The pier, for its part, was disconnected from the shore in Gaza and was taken, is being taken, I guess. I don't know if it's arrived yet, but it's being taken here to the port of Ashdod, right over there somewhere, and will be repaired over the next week. They say it'll take at least a week to repair this thing. This has kind of been a boondoggle for the Biden administration. There were actually 4 pieces of this dock that broke loose. All of them, oh, there's a guy that's got to freak people out, considering that Hamas used those things to attack people very near where I'm standing during the attack on October 7th. But, I just heard a big explosion from Gaza. I'm only about 10 miles from Gaza right now. I've seen fighter jets going overhead. They're obviously working very hard. As I said yesterday, they've had some tremendous fighting in the northern part of Gaza as they've had to go back in there and start clearing out the several thousand terrorists that are still taking refuge there. And so we're hearing the explosions as they fight those terrorists now. But right here behind me is, like I said, one of the 4 pieces which broke off the dock I don't know, several days ago, and floated this direction. Now, 2 of those pieces grounded themselves here in Israel, fortunately, because obviously it's going to take boots on the ground to recover these things, right? You can't not have any boots on the ground and somehow get these pieces off the beach. You see how far that one is up the beach? That's about how far up it was. We're at low tide right now, and so it's likely that there was no way that they could drag these things off the beach. And the other 2 actually landed in Gaza, on the beach somewhere in Gaza, and those ones are going to be much harder to recover, as you can imagine. The recovery there is going to have to take place with the help of the Israeli Navy, because the Israelis are the only ones that are on shore right now. So for Joe Biden to say that there are no boots on the ground, no American boots on the ground in Gaza, is kind of ridiculous, just because what he's saying is that they're going to have to put Israeli sailors at risk in order to recover these pieces of the dock. So it's not only not been very much help to the Gazans, but it's actually been riskier for the sailors and soldiers of the IDF. Now, there's a guy coming over here right now with a some kind of metal cutting saw, and it looks like he's about to cut a large piece of metal. Maybe he's cutting this rope off of here. I'm going to turn the camera around so you can see what's going on. So it looks like he's just cutting a rope. Yeah, these are apparently Israeli contractors that are doing this work. These are not US troops or anything like that. These are Israelis. You can tell from the hats. So you're getting to see it as it happens, folks. As I said, there are no other journalists out here right now. I'm the only person here besides the guys that are working on this. And over here they've got several of the pieces of this floating pier already loaded on this flatbed, and it's getting ready to pull out right now. So you can see he's driving away. He's got 3 large pieces of the dock attached to his flatbed. I broke up there for a second. He's going to cut another piece off of this. They're just cutting the ropes off of these, I guess. These are ropes that are as big around as your arm. So it probably is going to take more than a pocket knife. For a moment, we'll just look. I'll zoom in on these pieces down here. You can see these leftovers down here on the beach. Whoa! He just got that saw tied up. That saw is not really made for cutting rope. He might have hit a chain or something. I don't know what. Hit something in there, but it tied that saw up. He had to shut it off. So, as I said, there goes the... I gotta go see if I can get up in the air with him. That'd be fun. That's got to be scary for the people around here, though, since the Hamas fighters used those to attack people on October 7th. So I just came out here this morning looking for this thing. I heard that they had already recovered one of the 2 pieces that came ashore yesterday, and this is what's left now right here outside of Ashdod, Israel. That's the city of Ashdod back there. So you can see here they're trying to cut loose some of the rope off of this. Yeah, this is middle of the night in the United States, but it's good for people in Australia. So I'm sure everybody else will get a chance to see it once they wake up. But I wanted to get this out because this part of the dock is going to be gone very soon, obviously, because they're putting it on these trucks and taking it away. Like I said, there were 4 pieces of this dock. 2 of them came ashore in Gaza. And those ones will be much more difficult to recover because they're probably not going to be able to put those on trucks. And if they cannot refloat them with the help of the Israeli Navy, they may just have to abandon them there. You can imagine how frustrating this must be for the sailors and the soldiers of the IDF who are having to stop what they're doing, trying to accomplish their own missions to help recover this boondoggle from the Biden administration. 10 a.m. in Finland. That's great. I bet Finland's a little cooler than it is here. It's actually a pretty nice day here, though. So once they get these recovered, they will take these to wherever the dock is at that point and reassemble it, I guess. They say that that's going to take at least a week. Wouldn't surprise me if it took more than that. And here's the kicker. I reported yesterday a study that just came out where they calculated up so far what this thing has cost American taxpayers. And it has so far cost $1.486 billion. 1.486 billion US taxpayer dollars have gone into this dock, and there have been, so far as I can tell, less than 40 trucks of aid that were brought ashore over this dock. So the Biden administration is not putting that number out. What they're saying is that they brought 900 tons of aid, metric tons of aid, but that calculates out to about 36 trucks. And 900 tons of aid would not feed very many people for very long inside Gaza. So they have had to shut down some of the, hang on a minute. They've had to shut down some of the, oh, he tied that up again. That saw is definitely not meant for cutting whatever he's trying to cut with it. That very thick, I think it's Kevlar rope that's supposed to hold these things together. Apparently in stormy seas that rope wasn't enough and it broke up. You can hear me well. Good, I'm glad to hear that. So, $1.486 billion for 36 trucks full of aid is not a very good number. And they've had to shut down some of the other crossings that were allowing aid in because they have been attacked with indirect fire, and the trucks that were going in were immediately being looted by people. They were unable to safely distribute the aid. People were getting literally killed as they, fought each other to rob the aid off the trucks, and so they stopped sending it all together. So there's been something like 300 trucks a day going in where they need 500 trucks a day, but that is not the fault of the IDF or the United States government. It's the fault of the Hamas fighters who have been, attacking, stealing the aid, that sort of thing. Apparently, the aid that was brought in from the United States across this dock was also looted by hungry Palestinians, and so it also did not get where it was meant to go. So this has been an absolute disaster from start to finish when it comes to the United States trying to send aid in there. I'm going to go back over here to these other, well, I probably lose connection. I lost connection when I went over there again. So let's look offshore here. Turn the camera around. You can see those pieces of the dock there. This one here in the middle, that's one that has not yet moved, I don't think, from the location where it beached itself. It's probably the last piece that they've not been able to pick up. You can see another piece of heavy machinery coming down here. Likely to assist. They had to essentially dig up this beach to try to get these things out of here. There are some ships offshore. They're likely waiting to go enter the port of Ashdod, which is over this direction. There's the port over there. So that is likely where the pier will come to be reconnected. I can see some U.S. ships just offshore next to those cargo ships out there. I see a U.S. Navy ship. There are 11 U.S. Navy ships involved in this effort. So if you like this kind of reporting, folks, go hit the like button, please. And that tells YouTube that more people need to see it. You can also go to chuckholton.com, and I'll be putting up videos and pictures as the day goes on of the things that I'm seeing here. Definitely a waste of taxpayer money, without a doubt. And it's just getting more and more wasteful as time goes on. This is spectacularly expensive, and not only expensive, but essentially useless. So that's not good. Yeah, please go hit that like button. I appreciate all the likes and all the help with reporting here. Let's see if there's any other questions. The Palestinians, for their part, were spreading rumors that the United States was planning to build a permanent military base in Gaza. That's obviously not true. And yeah, they are going to put this back together once they get the pier over here. They had to disconnect the pier from the shore in Gaza because it was falling apart and sinking. And they're apparently going to somehow drive it over here. I don't know if they're going to take it apart into its component pieces and drive each piece over here, or if they're going to put it back on a ship somewhere and bring the ship over here, or if they're going to just drive the entire pier all the way over here. It's about probably 12 to 15 miles at sea. Now you can see that the sea is calm today, so that shouldn't be a big problem. But if they have another windy day, things could get really dicey out there, and that thing could end up being absolutely lost at sea if they don't take it apart. So I'm guessing they're going to have to take it apart into several pieces, drive each piece all the way over here, 12 miles or 15 miles at sea, and then put it all back together on the shore of Ashdod, and then drive it whole in one piece 15 miles back south and reconnect it to the shore in Gaza. Not a easy task by any stretch. Well, they could, this is a good question, Derek. They could transport aid to the beach with landing craft. The problem with that is it would have to be manned by American sailors, and American sailors can't touch the beach in Gaza, or else we would have quote-unquote boots on the ground. So yes, there are several ways that they could have done this to bring aid into Gaza if they were really concerned about bringing aid to Gaza, rather than just looking like they were bringing aid to Gaza. Each one of those ways, besides this, would have required boots on the ground in some sense. And so they discarded all of those. As a matter of fact, this dock system, this JLOT system, is supposed to have up to 1,000 sailors on the ground in order to help install it correctly. And so they tried to do it without U.S. sailors on the ground by using some help from the IDF, and that may be one of the reasons why it broke loose. This is supposed to be the kind of system that's installed in a safe area where there's been a natural disaster or something like that. It's not really designed to be installed in a non-permissive environment like Gaza, and especially a place where U.S. troops cannot go. So with that in mind, it was sort of a kludge to begin with. It was sort of they sort of put this together without thinking it through real well, and that's part of the reason most likely why it started to come apart. So again, this was designed to make it look like the Biden administration was doing something, but they had to be able to say that they had no boots on the ground, and this was the solution they came up with. As we can see here behind me, it turned out not to be the best solution. So that's all I've got, folks. If something else changes out here, I'll try to go live again. But for now, oh, here's a question. So they expect Israelis to risk their lives to maintain it? Yes, absolutely. They expected Israelis to risk their lives to do the ground portion of the installation, to secure the ground side of the installation, and now to help recover the pieces that are falling apart. All of those things put Israeli troops at greater risk, and the Israelis, for their part, have been willing to do that, but it's obviously not assisting them with accomplishing their goals in Gaza, and every day that this goes on, all of the troops in the field are at greater risk. So you really could say that in an objective sense, every Israeli troop who is in the war zone is being put at greater risk by the presence of this pier system, not only because they are having to help maintain it and secure it, but also because it is prolonging the war, and every day the war goes on, these guys are at risk. All right, so that's all I've got for you today. I'm going to let you go, and we'll see you later. Take care.